Joining me now from Washington is Eric Lisann, a legal analyst and former US federal prosecutor. Eric, thank you so much for your time. As the New York Times writes, Sean Combs is facing the most serious challenge to what has largely been a charmed life. So how consequential is this trial for America's entertainment industry?
Well, this is going to be the first trial in which somebody of his profile is going to face life in prison if he's convicted of all the charges. In some ways, it's reminiscent of the O.J. Simpson trial, which in its time also captured all the headlines. This one maybe doesn't yet approach that because in the mainstream, Diddy, as he's known, often maybe doesn't quite have that profile, but he does have a very large profile. The other thing that may be restricting the audience that sees it is the fact that this is in federal court and not a state court. And in federal court, the rules are very strict still regarding TV cameras. Namely, they won't allow the live television cameras to cover the trial directly from inside the courthouse. So that is also somewhat of a limitation. But other than that, somebody of his stature facing life in prison is obviously going to be something that is a media event.
And as you pointed out there, it is being held in a federal court, which is extremely unusual for a trial like this, isn't it?
Yes, it is very unusual, and we'll have to watch the evidence to see if that fact is indicative of some sort of a possible deficiency in the evidence, such that a state court or a state prosecutor wouldn't have brought this case. This is charged under a special federal statute, predominantly what's called RICO, colloquially. It stands for Racketeer Influenced Corrupt Organizations. It's often used to bring down larger criminal enterprises. Originally, it was designed for organized crime, such as the mafia, but over the decades, it's been used for many other types of activities and individuals. So this indicates that here, the prosecutors have the strong belief that they can show a pattern of racketeering activity, so that this wouldn't be just a one-off. This would be, in fact, something that's spanned an extensive period of time and events.
Eric, the extent of these charges goes back decades. So how difficult has that been for prosecutors in terms of gathering evidence?
Well, in some ways, it's probably helped them because it's allowed them to contact a number of people and have other people come forward. This initially started as a result of a civil lawsuit between Diddy and an ex-girlfriend, and the publication of that, or the publicity surrounding that, allowed others to bring their own lawsuits, and as so often happens in these types of cases, the event sort of snowballed, or the evidence sort of snowballed. So the length of period of time in that way helped because it allowed them to go back and get further evidence that corroborates the ongoing allegations, because it's going to be still at its core sort of a he said, she said type of a situation, because he's going to claim, and already has claimed, that all of this is consensual activity.
And just finally, what is the situation in regards to jury selection? I mean, how important is it in a case such as this one?
It's extremely important because the jurors bring their own life experiences and biases and perceptions into the courtroom. But of course, as we saw in New York State Court, it wasn't federal court, but it was state court, and largely a similar type of jury pool just about a year ago in the case of Donald Trump, who was charged in a Manhattan state court. The jurors can be instructed to follow the law, and they can do so. In that case, the jury selection went relatively quickly. It was also a case of where there was extensive publicity, and the defendant was obviously extremely well known, and people would have brought their own biases into the courtroom, but they were instructed to leave those aside and just focus on the evidence. So using that as a guide, we can see that if the evidence is there, the jurors can still follow that evidence and apply the law in a logical and fair manner.
Eric Lisann, an American legal analyst, thank you so much for your input.